is actually safeguarding most of the Ugandans, and most probably the crime rate has decreased in Uganda. Away from that, let's head on what the police has actually had to say regarding the continuous situations in Uganda. Now, the IGP, Martin Ochola, has actually ordered crackdown on bars and eating points after the Komamboga attack. And if you look at the situation here, police is actually cautioning most of the Ugandan businessmen who are operating past curfew time. We all know that we have curfew, and it's not like in Kenya where curfew was lifted. Ours here is still ongoing, and it's between 7 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. So police is actually cautioning everyone out there, because there is going to be a continuous crackdown on the bars and eating points that are operating during that time, regardless of whether it's a restaurant or any place that is actually converging. Ugandans have actually had the idea of calling certain things branches as a way of actually converging a number of people to come on for these services. But there is where our main discussion is going to be centered today on the show with Andrew Barigi. It's high time maybe he introduces himself again to the viewers.
Yes, this is Barigi Andrew, and I'm with Sonko here as we're going to take you through the topic of discussion about the bus crackdown. And don't forget, you can give us your views at Smart24 TV on Twitter, Smart24 TV Facebook. Yes, as we continue the discussion.
And of course, if you were to continue with the discussion, we're streaming live on Facebook at Smart24 TV. We are also streaming live on YouTube, that is Smart24 TV Space Live. Hit the subscription button whenever you are on YouTube and you've not subscribed with us. So let's head into this situation. First and foremost, are Ugandans so violent or are Ugandans violent, or are they just defiant?
I mean, it can be two ways. It can be two ways. I believe they're violent because, personally, I pass by a lot of bars when I'm going back home, in my home area there, and these people are in the bars. It's 8:30, it's coming to 9:30, and they are speaking all these words and they are causing commotion all over the places. So that would be really a wise idea, because in that process, we know that most of these people, they don't know how to control themselves when they get into that state of being drunk. So they cause quite a lot of commotion. They cause commotion, which leads to crime. It's beyond just the terror attacks we're seeing, but let's look at crime, because there are people who have been hurt, and probably we've not seen them in the media, but they have been attacked as a result of the bars. Just that what's making headlines right now is the terror attacks, but that those individuals. So I would really agree with that.
Okay, and if we were to say that Ugandans are violent, and I think I would probably say Ugandans are defiant, because we all know bars are not supposed to be operating past curfew time, and if there are people who are still defying all these presidential guidelines, I think it is putting people's lives on risk.
Very, very, very.
Because remember, in the night time, police will be monitoring or to do surveillance to check out who are operating at that time. And if you're caught, you're going to prison directly.
Definitely.
And this time around, we've all seen this situation. You're going to prison directly, you go to Chitalia maybe, and now you're caught drinking. Exactly. And at that time, you're above the law.
Exactly.
Because according to the guidelines that are there, you're not supposed to drink past curfew time. And this is actually going to the bar owners. You're putting people's lives on risk. You're putting your own business on risk.
On risk, yeah.
Because if you're putting your business at risk at a time where no one is supposed to be operating, the question would be, why are you still operating at such a time?
Okay, the reasons, of course, they give is that they have been closed for 2 years now. I think it's coming to 2 years since the bars have not been operating. And yes, we understand. We understand there is need for money, but we need to also look at life. Our president, I love what our president tells us in most cases whenever he's addressing our nation. He tells us, yes, it's okay, we want prosperity, but we also need to consider life, because if you have life, you can make wealth, Because now what I see in this case is that when these people, they get drunk, now let's look at the side of the people who go into the bars, besides the bar owners. You drink, you get drunk, so you're moving out of the bar. The police is going to call you, and at the end of the day, because you've taken too much alcohol, you're going to want to beat this policeman. And trust me, they're going to shoot you. Because it's defense. Perhaps you're trying to harm them. They may not shoot you to kill, but just to harm you just as. So, in other words, now you see you're injured, you're back into the hospital. Perhaps you have a business you're running somewhere, and that business is going to miss you for some good time. Do you see how that gap comes about, whereby the country is losing out because you are down on bed out of your fault?
And if we are to say out of fault, this goes to every Ugandan who is actually watching in right now. It's most probably people are actually violating these guidelines because of curfew. I hear some people come out and say, for them they feel like why does the government have to let them stay at home during the night? Because a lot of things do happen in the night. And if I was looking at some of the statistics from the police, if you look at the cases that have been prevailing because of curfew, there has actually been a sharp decline of crime because of curfew.
Exactly. Because what curfew does, it limits the activities that people carry out, because
the movement.
The movement, because I remember that the longer people spend interacting together, they're going to develop ideas which sometimes are not really healthy, So they end up harming up the innocent individuals at the end of the day. So that's the essence of curfew. Though we've still had some crime a little bit, but at least it's not as compared to before the curfew was put in place. So I really think the crackdown should be done under serious investigations, and maybe because it's understandable sometimes because quite so many sectors of the economy are working, and we have a challenge is that curfew is still limited. It's at 7, which may not be okay. So you find that actually at 8:30 people are still moving on the road.
But I think the bigger challenge here that I have with people, what people don't understand is, in most cases when you're caught, you're caught violating the law. The challenge there would be is, first of all, you're caught in the wrong time, the wrong place, doing a wrong activity. Because maybe drinking may not be a wrong activity, because people always have to drink, merrymaking. But where are you drinking it from? And at what time are you doing that?
Exactly.
So I think at the end of the day, it's all about people getting to actually get their conscience right.
Exactly. Because now you see that what you've said, where you're drinking from, and the time you're drinking. Because the president told the people to drink in their homes, because when you get drunk from your home, perhaps you're not going to harm other people, because probably they'll get you a room and you stay there to get off that hangover. So this is it should be a self-discipline, let me say that, a self-discipline. First of all, you need to think of the person, the bar in which that place where you're drinking from, you're going to cause them problems. Another, look at yourself as you're going to put yourself into trouble. Besides you being in trouble, remember you contribute on the micro sector, microeconomic, we have the macro and the micro. So in that incidence, the country is also losing you. So let's try to have a bigger picture of this, because things are going to get back to normal. That's one thing I can assure them.
So true. And if you were to say, it's all about being patient. I think
exactly.
Ugandans are not patient with this situation. Clearly, because for me, I was looking at the situation that if the president had said, we are going to have the entertainment sectors reopen bars after December, that is the period when the president said at least maybe the 4.8 priority population will have been vaccinated. Now, if these people continue operating at this time, the president will actually say that they're already violating the situation.
Exactly.
And it won't be a surprise to me when the government decides not to open the sectors as of now.
Actually, that's the thing, it's more like everything to happen. We want things to get back to normal. But we as citizens, there is a role we ought to play. because at the end of the day, we need to also think, let's not take these things for granted, by the way. These are very serious matters. Let's not take them for granted, because we want the president to open, but it's like we want to do what we want, but we don't want to adhere. So literally, it's being selfish on our side. I mean, being too it's being too full of yourself. That's what they say. So we really, as we are demanding the government to open all the sectors of the economy, it's our responsibility to also be the first people to be responsible, first of all, with our lives and the lives of other people. And also being patient. That's the most important thing, being patient, because it's not December is not really so long. And even next year is not so far. We're almost at the end of there. Yeah, I know things could be a little bit tight, but this is war. We are in war. That's one thing you need to know. It is war.
So they need to be really, really serious with the fact that we are now facing a serious challenge in Uganda, which is war. It's just like fighting a full battle, I guess.
Yeah.
But I'm still talking to most of the bar operators out there. In a life where I think it is all about being patient, and a situation which includes safeguarding others, it is now high time that you realize you're always going to be in the sport here. Because if you look at what happened in Komamboga, we are looking at bars now. The whole of this week is going to be, I think the whole of the month is going to be to crack down all bars that are still operating, all those that are operating behind closed doors. Because I think the police now has realized people are now forcefully reopening these sectors without the president even giving out the guidelines. Because now once the police get you, the first question would be, were you given a go ahead to open these bars?
Exactly.
Are you operating
legally?
Legally,
yes.
Is it lawful for you to continue working?
Yeah.
And this is where the cases are going to arise now, because people are now operating in a very legal format.
Exactly. And not only, and this doesn't only apply to the bars, but also the businesses at large. It's not really healthy to operate beyond curfew time. And you, the bar owners, too, you need to get that initiative. Because let me tell you something. Okay, I don't know that it's really necessary, but really operating, and and it's beyond even operating in the night. The law is they are not supposed to operate at all.
Yes, they're not.
They're not supposed to.
They're just not supposed to.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the situation of not operating, I think they're not supposed to, not even open.
Exactly.
Because once you're a bar, I think that is why most of the bars turned their business into a restaurant. So that they can actually continue, either a restaurant, cafe or something. So that they can operate during daytime. Because at least during daytime it is accepted. But if you're operating past curfew time, then it's wrong for you. That is why you would see that if someone is actually, one of the reasons as why you could see when you're being caught in a case of, let's say, an explosive like in Komamboga, one of the suspects are always going to be those ones
within.
So yes, those are some of the people of
within the bar. So literally, if you're in the bars at that time, chances are high that you might get, you might be, a case can be put on you concerning being a threat to the national security. That's a very serious matter.
Very serious, because you're going to become one of the suspects.
Exactly.
And once you're one of the suspects, there's no way you're going to survive. Because
terrorism
the question is going to be, why, what were you doing at this time?
What were you doing at this time?
So, and you're going to come out and give explanation of why you're still operating at such a time when the government is saying no. And no one is supposed to be operating.
And people need to know that the international standards in which they set to terrorism, when you have that terrorism case, it's really, I don't think there is an amount of, I don't think there can be any amount of bail that can take you out of that.
No. Maybe when the president just feels like...
Maybe the president, but terror is something, it's something very serious.
It is.
It is serious. Yeah, that's why I love the slogan. Allow me say this. They use it a lot in movies where they say the United States government doesn't negotiate with terrorists. So it shows you how serious terror is, not only just to our country, but globally. So as Ugandans, we need to be really very careful. Once that it shouldn't be attributed to you that you have a terror case. You know, it's not good for your profile. Yeah.
And it is never good, and it has never been good anyway. So I think every Ugandan out there should notice that these prevailing cases that are happening in Uganda are not good and are not going to help as a country. And if you're to follow up on the same situation and scenario, what is your last advice that you can give out to anyone out there with the ongoing cases as you're winding up with our topical discussion?
Yeah, definitely. My last word, because we realize that these cases as a result of people operating beyond curfew time. So I would urge people just to be patient. I mean, things are going to get back to normal. That's the only advice I can say. Let's be patient. Let's just adhere to the government directives. Let's get immunized. And before you know it, the economy shall be back, and we shall make money when we're healthy and alive, because that's very important. Yeah.
All right, that brings us to the end of our topical discussion. We'll be right back after the break.